All right, well, here's the situation that we've got going on. I had plans on going to 4 different places today, but because of the COVID, 3 of them got canceled. So I found an old Civil War fort down the road that we're gonna go check out. I don't really know anything about it, but in the meantime, we've stopped for lunch right here in eastern Missouri at a place that supposedly has the best rolls on the planet that they serve to you by throwing them at your face. So we're gonna go in here, we're gonna get some lunch, and then we're going to go explore a Civil War fort. All right, here's something that I'm kind of liking right off the bat. This is a restaurant that seems to have a taste for history. So, Lambert's Cafe, established in 1942 by Earl and Agnes Lambert. So apparently somebody, right in the middle of World War II, said, do you know what this country needs? A restaurant where people throw rolls at your face. All right, we're gonna go in here and see what we got. All right, so this is my kind of place. Got a World War I uniform and trench coat on display. Got some military patches and all kinds of license plates. Dude, check this out. This place has got Dale Dye's signature of approval as well. That's kind of cool. So this is something else kind of cool that they've done. They have a little pin map here showing where all different visitors have come from. So there's some from France, Poland, Italy. Yeah, so old Lambert's is world famous. Okay, I feel kind of like a moron filming myself inside this crowded restaurant, but here's how it works here. So you have your menu, but the only thing on here are like the main dishes, and then people come around and serve up sides that they just slap down on a brown paper towel. And then every once in a while somebody comes around and throws a roll at you. So anyway, let's see what we got here. All right, I think I'm gonna roll with the barbecue pork steak, cut from a real nice old hog. Boom. There you go, look at the size of that daggone roll. That's good too. All right, well here we go. We got the old barbecue pork steak, some mashed potatoes, and some cornbread. We're gonna scarf this down and then get back on the road. Okay, so here is the post-meal analysis. Really good. Probably the best rolls ever. I do feel like I'm going to die right now just from all of the food that I ate, and I don't know how I'm going to walk for the rest of the day, but it was really good. So anyway, we're gonna hop back on the road. That guy has the loudest truck I've ever heard in my life, and we're gonna head on down and see if we can find this old Civil War fort on the Mississippi River. Well, we just made it down the road, and we are now in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And son of a gun, it is cold right now. But anyway, if you look in the background right here in the distance, right back there, you can see the Mississippi River, which forms kind of a bend right here around Cape Girardeau. Well, Mississippi River was not only an important waterway throughout American history, but also in the Civil War. A guy by the name of Winfield Scott, at the beginning of the Civil War, formed a plan that became known as the Anaconda Plan to basically surround and choke out the Confederacy. The idea was to blockade southern ports and split the Confederacy in two along the Mississippi River, which of course was one of the main travel arteries in the United States, and then, like an anaconda, squeezed the Confederacy from the outside in. Well, in 1861, to protect the city of Cape Girardeau, General Fremont ordered the construction of an earthen fort right here overlooking the river. And we are at the remains of one of those forts. There were four that were built. There's only one that survives. This is the remains of Fort D. Well, obviously, as you can see, this fort is now kind of surrounded a bit by a subdivision, but you can still see the earthworks here. And if we walk up here, you can see where there's a little bit of an angle that forms. Might even be able to get up here a little bit and show it a little bit better. Well, right here at these angles is where they would place some of their heavy cannons to protect the fort and to overlook the Mississippi River for any Confederate traffic coming up or down the river. Here's another look from inside the fort. Now, this fort was built primarily by German immigrants who came down from St. Louis, and they have all of these little information panels here, which are really helpful. So this one is talking about Ulysses S. Grant, obviously, and how he took command of Union forces early on in his career in the Civil War, right here in Cape Girardeau. So it's really quite probable that Grant would have been here either during the building or at the completion of this fort. Here's another information panel with some interesting information, and it looks like some birds have pooped on it. That's kind of rude. But it says that work on Fort D began in August of 1861 under the direction of Lieutenant John W. Powell. He ended up getting wounded at the Battle of Shiloh and had his arm amputated to stop the infection. And interesting fact, in 1869, after the war, with only one arm, he led the first successful navigation of the Colorado River and explored what would later be known as the Grand Canyon. They have another funny story here on one of these information panels that talks about how the soldiers, would get bored from time to time, and in one recorded episode constructed some wooden bowling pins from blocks of wood and used cannonballs as bowling balls. Made themselves a little bowling alley right here in the fort. So here what we're looking at is the type of gun that would have been here at Fort D. Really, there would have been three of them, and they were 32-pound smoothbore cannons that could fire a 32-pound shot nearly a mile. Huh. Pretty cool. What we are looking at right here is a reproduction of something that would have been known as a Quaker cannon, and all that it is a big log that is painted black so that from a distance it looks like a cannon and makes it seem like your fort is better armed than what it really is. Of course, they call it a Quaker cannon because of the Quakers who generally decline to fight. So that's kind of cool that they have that there so people can learn a little something extra. I mentioned earlier how rather brisk and cold it is here right now. Well, during the Civil War, also cold, and read that the soldiers here, in order to try and escape some of the chill weather, dug caves into the side of this hill to try and stay warm. So they're kind of like a bunch of just burrowing animals right here, just waiting for something to happen. Now, I haven't mentioned this powder house thing here behind me. This is not original to the fort. This is a replica that was built during the 1930s by the WPA. So during the Great Depression, some people that were taking advantage of work opportunities through one of the New Deal programs constructed this, because there was an effort to save the remains of this Civil War fort, because like I said, the other three had been destroyed. And I'm glad that they did, because you know, this is something that anybody can show up to and look at this place, look at the remains of these earthworks, read these information panels, and become a little bit more educated on what a Civil War fort might have looked like. So our original plans fell through, but I'm not disappointed, because yeah, this was a cool little stop. All right, we're going to go crash somewhere, and then tomorrow we'll be up and at it again. All right, so we don't have bumper stickers, but if you want to support, you can write in the dirt on your vehicle, youtube.com/The History Underground. Boom.